In this video, we will tackle about the ethical principles and perspectives of research and the writing process for technical research report. This is your reporter, Liaga Suasa. First and foremost, the ethical principles and perspectives. What does it mean for you to be ethical? Pertaining to or dealing with morals or the principles of morality, pertaining to right and wrong in conduct. Being ethical is being conscious about your choices. If you are ethical, you know what things are good and perform those good actions instead of malicious actions. To be truly ethical, you must be doing it for self satisfaction, not a prize. In the next slide, we can see the word ethical principles. Ethical principles are part of a normative theory that justifies or defends moral rules and or moral judgments. They are not dependent on one's subjective viewpoints. The duty to respect and promote individuals' choices for themselves in achieving what they believe to be in their best interest. It becomes limited if it infringes on the best interests of others. This duty also includes respect for confidentiality and privacy. Connecting to research, having ethical principles while conducting a certain study is a way or a form of respect in our respondents' freedom of choices. It is also to protect their identity if must and give them trusts of confidentiality. Why are ethical principles important in research? There are several reasons why it is important to adhere to ethical norms in research. First, norms promote the aims of research, such as knowledge, truth, and avoidance of error. For example, prohibitions against fabricating, falsifying, or misrepresenting research data promote the truth and minimize error. In the next slide, I will discuss the four ethical principles and perspectives in research, such as minimizing the risk of harm, obtaining informed consent, protecting anonymity and confidentiality, and providing the right to withdraw. I will make it clear by discussing one by one. First, ethical principles and perspectives is minimizing the risk of harm. Dissertation research should not harm participants where there is possibility that participants could be harmed or put in a position of discomfort. There must be strong justifications for this. Such scenarios will also require additional planning to illustrate how participant harm or discomfort will be reduced, informed consent, and detailed debriefing. So there are times that researchers, as well as the topic itself, can or possibly harm the respondents emotionally, physically, and mentally. And with that, minimizing the risk of harm is ethical in order to avoid big problem or may create bigger issue. In what way? First, learn to communicate with your respondents. Then, explain your motives and what are they participating. And lastly, give them assurance as well as taking responsibility of what may happen afterwards or before participating in your research. The next ethical principle and perspective is obtaining informed consent. One of the foundations of research ethics is the idea of informed consent. Simply put, informed consent means that participants should understand that they are taking part in research and what the research requires of them. It is ethical to obtain informed consent in order for the respondents to know that they are secured and have the assurance that the higher officials or the person who have understand the researcher's motives. With that, it may avoid misunderstanding between the researchers and the respondents. The next one is protecting anonymity and confidentiality. Protecting the anonymity and confidentiality of research participants is another practical component of research ethics. After all, participants will typically only be willing to volunteer information, especially information of a private or sensitive nature, if the researcher agrees to hold such information in confidence. Why is it important to hide from the outside who were the participants and their personal information as well as their choices? Well, it is clear that making respondents' information visible to the public will make a problem such as public display of attraction, and some will make fun out of it. Some might misunderstood and some might take it personal and end up in fight and mess. Therefore, it is a must to protect your respondents or volunteers' information. Lastly, providing the right to withdraw. Participants should have the right to withdraw or any stage in the research process. When a participant chooses to withdraw from the research process, they should not be pressured or coerced in any way to try and stop them from withdrawing. It is out of respect, freedom, and ethical to make your respondents decide to withdraw in participating your study. Even after gaining or obtaining such consent from the higher officials, they themselves still have to hold to say yes or no on participating. Remember, in studying research, you are not allowed to force anyone to join out of their will. Let's proceed to our next topic, which is about writing process for technical research report. Let's define technical report. Technical report is a document that describes the progress, process, or results of scientific or technical research. It also can include some recommendations and conclusions. A technical report is a formal report designed to convey technical information in a clear and easily accessible format. It is divided into sections which allow different readers to access different levels of information. To understand more, here are some technical report elements or the writing process of a technical research report, which are the introduction, literature review, methodology, results, conclusion and recommendations, references. First, let us discuss what is introduction. It's stated that the purpose of your report. The thesis statement will be useful here. Background information may include a brief review of the literature already available on the topic so that you are able to place your research in the field. Some brief details of your methods and outline of the structure of the report. The introduction to a research paper is where you set up your topic and approach for the reader. It has several key goals. Present your topic and get the reader interested. Provide background or summarize existing research. The introduction serves multiple purposes. It presents the background to your study, introduces your topic and aims, and gives an overview of the paper. A good introduction will provide a solid foundation and encourage readers to continue on to the main parts of your paper, the methods, results, and discussion. The next part is literature review. If asked to do a separate literature review, you must carefully structure your findings. It may be useful to do a chronological format where you discuss from the earliest to the latest research, placing your research appropriately in the chronology. Alternately, you could write in a thematic way, outlining the various themes that you discovered in the research regarding the topic. A literature review is a piece of academic writing demonstrating knowledge and understanding of the academic literature on a specific topic placed in context. A literature review also includes a critical evaluation of the material. This is why it is called a literature review rather than a literature report. A literature review is a survey of scholarly sources such as books, journal articles, and theses related to a specific topic or research question. It is often written as part of a thesis, dissertation, or research paper in order to situate your work in relation to existing knowledge. The third one is what we call methodology. Clearly reference any material you have used from other sources. Clearly label and number any diagrams, charts, and graphs. Ensure that they are relevant to the research and add substance to the text rather than just duplicating what you have said. You do not include or discuss the results here. Research methodology simply refers to the practical how of any given piece of research. More specifically, it's about how a researcher systematically designs a study to ensure valid and reliable results that address the research aims and objectives. For example, how did the researcher go about deciding what data to collect and what data to ignore? Who to collect it from? In research, this is called sampling design. How to collect it? This is called data collection methods. How to analyze it? This is called data analysis methods. The next one after methodology is called results. This is where you indicate what you found in your research. You give the results of your research but do not interpret them. The results section rather of the research paper is where you report the findings of your study based upon the information gathered as a result of the methodology or methodologies you applied. The results section should simply state the findings without bias or interpretation and arrange in logical sequence. The results section should always be written in the past tense. A section describing results, also known as findings, is particularly necessary if your paper includes data generated from your own research. Another element is called conclusion and recommendations. This is a summary of the most significant results or findings. You should not include any new material in this section. Sometimes, you could indicate some areas where your research has limits or where further research would be useful. This includes suggestions for what needs to be done as a result of your findings. Recommendations are usually listed in order of priority. So in the conclusions and recommendations section, you present your interpretation of the results given in results section. You also draw conclusions from your analysis of those results and then make recommendations based on your analysis. In short, tell your reader what your results mean and what actions should be taken as a result of your findings. Lastly is references. This includes all references used in your report or referred to for background information. This must be done using the referencing convention specified by your lecturer or tutor. Referencing allows you to acknowledge the contribution of other writers and researchers in your work. Any university assignments that draw on the ideas, words, or research of other writers must contain citations. Referencing is also a way to give credit to the writers from whom you have borrowed words and ideas. Referencing is an important part of academic work. It puts your work in context, demonstrates the breadth and depth of your research, and acknowledges others' people's works. You should reference whenever you use someone else's idea. Also, a references page is the last page of an essay or research paper that's been written in APA style. It lists all the sources you've used in your project so readers can easily find what you've cited. That's all for today's video. Please let me know if you have learned something and type it in the comment section. Thank you.